to Section 4 on Clean Technology. Isn't that wonderful? Okay, we're going to be talking about a bunch of things today, but one of them is going to be incremental changes versus radical changes. Incremental tend to be small little things where the product still stays the product it was before, it's just enhanced. Radical changes, you may be talking about totally new products. So we'll get into that. Okay, clean technology, products, services, or processes that reduce waste and require less energy, or a minimum amount of non-renewable resources. Clean technology seeks to reduce the waste and the pollution from production processes through radical and incremental development. Clean technology found in a broad range of industries, including water, energy, manufacturing, and transportation.
We're asking Canadians, what does clean technology mean to you? We're looking for your ideas. Have your say and tell us what clean tech looks like to you by joining the discussion.
See, Canadians love clean technology. As Earth's resources are depleted, the demand for energy worldwide should be on every designer's mind, which is great for you because it means there's going to be a lot of opportunities to design stuff in new ways. More energy efficient technologies will be produced for the environment, for technology, for the economy, and for social reasons. On the right, you can see a chart that shows the amount of reserves of what we thought we had at one point, and it changes, to what we think we'll have into the future, at least what we'll have access to. Drivers for cleaning up manufacturing, promoting the positive impacts, ensuring neutral impact or minimizing negative impacts, reducing pollution and other energy, and reducing wastage. Look at that manufacturing plant down there. Doesn't it look lovely? It's all green with trees and solar panels and greenhouse roofs, a windmill. Who wouldn't want that? Drivers for cleaning up manufacturing, Part 2. International legislation and targets for reducing pollution and waste. End of pipe technologies. Incremental and radical solutions. System level solutions. All right, let's talk about these a little bit. International legislation and targets means that not just one country, but lots of countries agree on certain targets and to hold their people accountable to meet those targets. End of pipe technologies mean that when a manufacturing plant is running and it's giving off CO2, maybe it's giving off other toxins into the air or into the water. End of pipe means it's a measurement of what is coming out of that facility when it's in operation. So it is adjusting the way they do things, making them better, so that in the end, the effect that they're having is less. System level solutions would be a little different than end of pipe because you're not just looking at the end, you're looking at how you're doing things all along the way and making enhancements to the process every step of the way with the same purpose of cleaning up the end product of manufacturing. So the role of legislation to provide an impetus for manufacturers to clean up their manufacturing process. Manufacturers tend to react to legislation. They may not have been motivated to do so beforehand, but when there's a fear of being fined if they don't meet certain standards, then they do react. Legislation can be monitored and policed. International targets for reducing pollution and waste face the difficulties of getting nations to agree to the targets. Agreeing on targets proves difficult, as many nations are different in different stages of their development. Okay, so one you guys may have heard of a lot is the Paris Accord, and under President Barack Obama, the United States was part of that agreement, which was a bunch of different countries. I don't remember how many that came together and said, okay, we're going to attempt to meet these certain standards. When President Trump came in, he and his administration looked at those standards and said, these are unreasonable. This is not in the best interest of our country, and we're not going to do this. So we withdrew from the Paris Climate Agreement. There was a lot of criticism about from both sides. There was criticism for us joining in the first place from one side of the aisle. There was criticism for us pulling out of it from the other side of the aisle. And this becomes a tricky topic. There's no one person who's probably necessarily right, although everybody has their opinions on what it should be. Is it ethical to prevent a developing country from producing high carbon emissions through their industrial development? Developed countries have been the main generators of carbon emissions through their own industrial revolutions and economic developments. Here's what that's saying. The United States, when it went through its industrial revolution, at the same time that most of Western Europe did, made all kinds of pollution and degraded the environment. We then, as we developed as a country, got to the point where we could reflect and change the ways we did things to benefit our environment. So is it fair for us to look at countries that are now going through that a long time after us, they're still developing, and to criticize them for the way they do things? Incremental solutions. If we look at these light bulbs, maybe they're a good example of incremental solutions, although you could probably make the argument that these are radical changes. Products which are improved and developed over time, leading to new versions and generations. Incremental development. A manufacturing process that requires major refits and the addition of new elements to a manufacturing process. Often, manufacturing processes are improved in terms of efficiency and the amount of embodied energy over time, also known as end-of-pipe solutions. Okay. The little picture on the bottom right shows you what the end of pipe might be like. Okay, I would say the reactive option on the top right, if you're just looking at what's coming out of the facility, and that's where you're being measured and held accountable, and all you're doing, you're running all your processes the same, you're just filtering things better at the end. That's a good thing because you're giving off less, but you didn't really attempt to overhaul all your processes. All you did was attempt to make sure you didn't exceed whatever the standards were. The image on the left with the Porsche shows kind of an evolution of a car. Okay? Those would be incremental changes because in the end, it's still a Porsche, and people buying a Porsche want it to be a Porsche. So you don't want to change it too much. If it was too different, it would be a radical change, and people would no longer recognize what it was originally. Radical solutions, where a completely new product is devised by going back to the roots of the problem and thinking about a solution in a different way, can make a great and sudden impact, can require the replacement of the whole system, also known as system-level solutions. So you're not just putting on a Band-Aid on the end of it, you are changing every step of the way. International-Mindedness, the development of clean technology strategies for reducing pollution and waste can positively impact local, national, and global environments. TOK. International targets may be seen to impose the view of a certain culture onto others. Can one group of people know what's best for others? For example, when we get a bunch of countries together and we all attempt to agree on certain standards that some of those countries might be able to hit and others might not be able to hit, does that make one group good and one group bad, or one group right and one group wrong? Here's our standard. The legislation for reducing pollution often focuses on the output, which is also known as the end-of-pipe technologies. By implementing ideas from a circular economy, pollution is negated or decreased because you're reusing it, and waste is eliminated. All right, here we go. We're on topic 2, resource management and sustainable production. 2.5, green design. So now we're going to start designing things and doing it in a responsible way. Okay, we're really thinking about sustainability. We're thinking about how we can most efficiently use materials to make our product. Green design takes into account the environmental impact of the product throughout its entire life, not just during manufacture or design, but also during use and during disposal. Integrates environmental considerations without compromising the integrity of the product. You want it to still work the way it was meant to work. The starting point for many green products is to improve an existing product by redesigning aspects of it to address environmental objectives. So you're going to look at many different steps in the process and figure out how you can make each of those a little bit better. Iterative development. Iterative means cyclical or happening again and again and again, so repetitive. Products can be incremental or radical, depending on how effectively new technologies can address the environmental objectives. Incremental means you're making small changes to certain aspects of the design or the production or the use. And radical means you're making drastic changes. When newer technologies are developed, products can either re-enter the development phase for further improvement, or it could be a total overhaul to the product, producing something brand new. Okay, so a little picture down here just shows you you're asking a question, did it work? If yes, you're moving on to the next problem. If it didn't work, no, why not? We need to figure out why it didn't work, come up with a new plan, try that plan, and see, did it work? That's kind of what we're doing here. Drivers for green design. Okay, why would we want to do green design in the first place? Sometimes it's because of consumer pressure. The consumer wants a new, better product. Or sometimes it can be because of legislation. Maybe the government, our leaders, decided this has to happen. Maybe it's like a tax on plastic bags at the grocery store. Green legislation. Laws and regulations that are based on conservation and sustainability. Encourages products to tackle environmental issues. Encourages incremental rather than radical changes. Okay, so little changes here and there. Principles to know. Here's 2 principles that IEB says that you should be familiar with. The prevention principle, the avoidance or minimization of waste production, and the precautionary principle, the anticipation of potential problems. We're going to go ahead and throw this into present mode, which I should have done at the beginning, but we'll do it right now. All right, objectives for green products. There are 3 main things we're looking for. First, better and less materials. Second, less energy. That's during use and manufacture and disposal. Third, less pollution and waste. Evaluating products. Okay, there's lots of different ways that we can evaluate our products and decide how to make them more green. So the consumption of raw materials, production methods, packaging, toxic chemicals, energy and production and use, end-of-life disposal, and the atmospheric pollutants. International-Mindedness. The ability and will of different countries to enact environmental legislation varies greatly. Just remember, we're all different and we're all coming from different places with different means. So getting everybody to agree to do the exact same thing all the time is very difficult. Here's a TOK situation for you. Green issues are an area where experts sometimes disagree. On what basis might we decide between the judgments of experts if they do disagree? We've got a lot of really smart experts out there, and very often they can end up on two different sides of a discussion. How do you deal with that? Aim 3, here's our standard. The purpose of green design is to ensure a sustainable future for all. More on legislation. It usually involves incremental changes to a design. It is relatively easy to implement. Legislation related to the use of catalytic converters in cars is an example that IB wanted you to know. The whole goal was to reduce toxins in exhaust. So there was legislation that said by this date, all internal combustion engine vehicles need to have a catalytic converters, and we did. And we all agreed it was a good thing. Did it make cars a little more expensive? Yeah, it probably did, but we all agreed it was for the best. The timescale for implementing green design is relatively short, usually just a couple of years. Therefore, that makes it cost effective. Green product design objectives: increasing efficiency in the use of materials and energy, minimizing damage or pollution, and minimizing the effect of the end disposal of the product. Green product design objectives: effective packaging, instructions encouraging environmentally friendly use, minimizing nuisances such as noise and smell, minimizing the number of different materials, making it easier to recycle, labeling the materials for recycling. And if you look at all the labels in the bottom right, you probably recognize some of those. These are commonly used labels for green design and recycling, energy efficiency. And here's our video that we're going to end with.
Pick me, pick me.
You too, huh?
Apparently, I'm just a bit too big. I work fine, I just don't look that good.
Well, something inside me broke. That's why they got a new one and put me out here. I'm only 14 months old. And now this happened. I was made this way. I know I was designed cheaply and to break. This part in here is a single molded shell, so nobody can get inside and fix me. If only my designers had made better choices, I would have been repaired or even loved longer. Now I'm such a waste.
It's just not right.
Hey, did you hear about Sally the singlet?
I know, it is absolutely horrible. She shrank in the dryer.
Hi.
Excuse me. Did I not put in quite so much water in me? It's just, you don't seem to use it, and I waste a lot of energy boiling all of this. Okay, perhaps you could turn the tap off now.
Typical mon. Pete, you're bright pink, bro. You should watch who you hang out with.
Hey, you! Yes, you! Stop washing us in hot water and putting us in the dryer! You're ruining us. And, well, frankly, you're wasting lots of energy. Just read, please, our care labels. It's pretty simple, and, well, we will last longer.
Yeah, you go, girl. I know. It's appalling. They should have stored us better so it didn't go all soggy.
Guys. I heard that there are actually other ways. It really doesn't have to be like this.
All that I wanted to be is a Caesar salad.
You're right. You're right. We could have been stored in airtight containers, which would have stopped us from going rotten. We could have been transported better, and most of all, we could have been sold closer to home so we didn't have to travel all this way for nothing. Let us be free!
Hey, you guys. You want to get recycled?
Yes.
Just push my buttons. I memorized the number. E-Waste Recycling Services. What is your pickup address, please? I knew it. Still almost full. And now I'm just going to sit here getting cold. Such a waste. All for just that one cup of tea.
Steady on, old chap.
Hey, guys. Hello? What about me? Guys? Guys?